our technical colleges to do that, help us do that work, but then we have to look at development within our own high school and middle school programs to help our students find those pathways like culinary, which I saw at Englewood High School today.
Thank you very much. Mrs. Gaines is going to ask the next question, which was a question that Lori Jarvis had, and Ms. Jarvis was unable to come at the last moment, I believe. Mrs. Gaines.
Good morning again.
Round two.
All right, Felicia Gaines, District 4 Representative, and again, the Jacksonville branch of the NAACP Education Committee Chair. How do you ensure equitable distribution of resources to all students throughout the district to support their academic success and reach their full potential? Can you provide examples of how you've addressed resource disparities and ensured access to necessary resources for all students?
Let me start by first saying that school-based budgeting, district money flows to us from the state. How it's delineated out really for me is on a weighted FTE measure. Weighted FTE measures, and then specifically based upon free and reduced lunch percentages, those make determinations of how Title I and other title funding are distributed. So there have to be metrics in place that make the determinations and the cutoff points as to who receives based upon need, who receives the additional title dollars. In terms to ensure that a student or a school X and a school Y receive equitable amount of dollars, we have to look at the weighted FTE. If a school building has an increased number of 254 or 255 funders, then those dollars need to follow those students. If I just have 251 and 252s, students who would be maybe specific learning disabled or dyslexic, yes, we need additional dollars to educate them, but we don't need as much as when we're working with some other abilities or disabilities that have a greater need. So how schools are funded becomes critically important, that they get the dollars that they deserve for the population that they're currently serving. That to me is the overall aspect. I think the other piece is then to look at where we are and long-term plan for what are those differentiators. I had the great opportunity on Saturday and most of Sunday morning to drive around this great community and look at school buildings. I just looked at them. I will tell you, after being a superintendent, I can tell you I look at buildings differently. And I do go back, Cameron, I much would rather see your high school with you in it than just looking at it from the parking lot. But there's been significant investment in your high school. You can see the wings on to the right or to the left where those are newer constructed buildings. I've gone to other buildings, which I won't name, where I'm wondering why. Why haven't we taken some of those same efforts and brought them there? And I understand why, reading the plan and reading the news stories, we're still trying to figure out how to. We know we have the problem. We're figuring out how to, and then we're going to be able to introduce those changes. I looked at age of building and facility index scores. Again, going back to data, determining where you're going to invest. And that's why in Lee County we're rebuilding Franklin Park Elementary School. It was time, long overdue. I was in a building today that's 66 years old. That building is, I know we don't like to admit it, but buildings don't last forever. They have to be revised, and we have to have a process which is clear, can be communicated and transparent, so that we not only talk about new builds, but we talk about the necessary renovations and upgrades so that all of our students are in first-class learning environments.
Thank you very much. Next, we have Mrs. Yarborough, and we're going to move to the area of safe and orderly environment.
Yeah. Good morning, Dr. Bernier.
Good morning.
I'm Margaret Yarborough, and I'm from District 2, and I'm a parent there. My question is, describe a scenario where you had to make a difficult decision regarding the enforcement of a new law or policy in order to maintain a safety and order. What factors did you consider in making this decision?
I probably should have used this for the controversial issue. One of the things that was a very clear expectation for superintendents across the state of Florida recently, within my tenure, was the idea of examining the Guardian program and bringing the Guardian program to the board for a decision. That is a controversial program. It is a difficult one, but it began first by seeking to understand. I'm a Covey person, right? What is a guardian program, what isn't it? Who can apply, who can't? What do you do with a classroom teacher? Is it a classroom teacher? Is it a principal? What are other school districts doing? It begins, my process begins with the individuals helping me with an ungodly amount of research, trying to understand what it is and what it isn't. And then working with board members, community members, going out and having conversations about school safety. The board did vote to move to a guardian program. I think we had 300 people interested initially. That wielded itself down pretty quickly once they understood what the application processes were. The sheriff's office then takes them through the same training and the same psychological checks that they do for their own officers. We had 6 when we were done with the process. They're not classroom teachers. They're people who could respond in the case of an emergency. They're well identified. You couldn't miss the bright yellow uniform that they wear. And we've worked very closely with the sheriff's office to ensure that they're involved in the same training that our SROs are involved in, and they're building a partnership so that they can work together in case they're needed, that they're responding the correct way and doing the right things. The other one, the district uses Evolve. We use OpenGate. We're talking about entrance technology. You know, it's hard. I mean, I remember a different age where we didn't need those types of things at the front door of a schoolhouse. What I hope for with Evolve or an OpenGate process is that young people make a better decision before they leave their house of what they put in a backpack, because they know they're going to be screened. So I think we have to continue to look at what is out there, because academics and safety used to be 1 or 2 depending on what was happening. They are now combined. They are officially number 1. And I think Maslow finally wins. Because if you don't feel safe and secure, you can't learn. And so our safety for our students is paramount.
Thank you. We have 10 minutes left because I want to let Dr. Bernier
I'm
have
sorry
5
if it's me.
minutes at the end. We're good. To wrap up, and then we have 3 questions, so we're right on schedule. It couldn't be any better. So, Dr. Bernier, you're doing just right at this
Trying.
point. Thank you. Okay, next, Tim Holly. Again, this is in the area of safe and orderly environment. Tim?
Good morning. I'm Tim Holly. I'm a teacher at Springfield Middle School. My question is, how do you collaborate with internal and external law enforcement agencies or departments to ensure the safety of campuses and activities within your school district? Can you provide examples of successful collaboration or initiatives that have enhanced school campus safety through partnerships with law enforcement?
I'd be happy to. We have a great relationship with our local municipalities, and oftentimes we only talk about the local sheriff, but I also have Cape Coral Police, Fort Myers Police Department. I have other municipalities I have to work with as well. We have ongoing roundtables with those individuals so that we can have conversations and keep our communication lines open. One thing that COVID did teach us is it's a really effective way to communicate via Zoom or via Teams meeting. You don't have to drag everybody to a meeting. We can get something really done in a half hour. We have worked to ensure that all of our deputies and all of our school resource officers have immediate access to our school building, including the road deputies that will respond. They now are equipped with ID cards that will allow them past the locked doors. They don't have to look for a lockbox with a key. They're able to access our facilities, and the sheriff reciprocated for me to be able to access the sheriff's department. He thought that was important, that if we were going to trust him, he needed to trust us as well. I also believe that probably the best example is the swatting calls I received last year. We had a swatting call at one of our high schools, followed very shortly by another swatting call at another one. There's nothing more difficult than watching in your command center police enter a building and your students walk out with their hands above their heads to go to a football stadium while they look for what is perceived to be a perpetrator based upon a false report through an internet call that comes into a local agency. But I have to tell you, so amazingly supportive of how fast and how quickly our police departments responded. After each of those incidents, we did an after-action review. One occurred at the sheriff's office, one occurred at the school board office. We brought all the individuals involved in that in so we could take apart the incident minute by minute, look at what worked, what didn't work, what worked in our school buildings about locking our students down, what could be improved, what could they do to better serve us, what they could have done differently as a tactical unit as they entered our classrooms. You have to prepare for it, and you have to train it. One of the things that I believe is really important that should be trained this summer is reunification process. And we need to work with local law enforcement, fire departments, and our school system to take schools and administrators through what a good reunification process looks like. Because after that event, we've got to be able to tell our parents their kids are coming home and where they are. So those are just some of the things ongoing, and excited about a partnership between the Lee County Lee County Sheriff's Office, the DEA, and the School District of Lee County that will be working with the DEA on great choices. We're using one of our large venues in Lee County, and I brought it from Clark County, Nevada, when I worked with the DEA there. So just some examples, sir.
Thank you very much, Dr. Bernier. Next, Gustavo Guzman.
Good morning, I'm Gustavo Guzman. I'm a teacher at Terry Parker High School and Duval's 2024 Teacher of the Year.
Congratulations on your honor as well.
Thank you. My question is, how do you support students and families by collaborating with school and district personnel, nonprofits, and community programs such as our Parent Academy? Can you share examples of collaborative efforts that have positively impacted student and family support services within your school or district?
I love our Parent Academy as well. I love what we're doing. We're going out, we're doing great hands-on work with our community members. I wish it was better attended, and I have some ideas moving forward to drive that attendance. In a former system, I worked very hard, specifically with our Parent Engagement Office, to help support a process by which we moved them from during the day or during the evenings during the week to a Saturday morning program, where it was a lot like when we arrive as professionals to a conference. There was a general session, and then there was an opportunity to spread out to different events. For the staff that are panicking, going, oh my God, a Saturday. What we did was we traded off, if those people were, if we traded that off, those people had a day, a Friday afternoon, for the same amount of time where they could leave early. So we gave them their time back within the first 2 weeks. They could choose when they could take it back. But the idea was, let's meet parents where they are. And then we created, it sounds silly, but it worked. We got the biggest, gaudiest trophy we could find. Like, it was taller than me. And when it sat on the table, it was taller than Shaquille O'Neal. I don't know who the tallest Jacksonville Jaguar is yet. I'll change my example later on. But the school that had the most representation got to take home the trophy till the next quarter. And it sounds silly, but principals will compete for just about anything. They really will, when their pride's at stake. And I'm happy to report that at one point over the 3 years that I was involved with it, one of our high schools finally did take home the trophy. It was based upon the number of parents that identified when they signed in as to what school they were from. It became wildly successful. So I look forward to that opportunity to do. I'm trying to give you a new example to everything else that I've already said.
Thank you very much. And our final question, Travis McGee.
Good morning. So there's always a last question. So I help represent District 3, but I also help collaborate with a youth leadership program with a local employer in 3 high schools, to include Riverside, Atlantic Coast, and Inglewood. So my question to you, and I'll look at my teacher colleagues, one of the biggest frustrations with such collaboration are buses. Just be very clear about that as I see head shaking. So my question is, how do you ensure a comprehensive understanding of the various operational systems within the district, including transportation, food and nutrition services, maintenance facilities, and other business operations? Can you describe your approach to overseeing these systems to ensure smooth operations and effective resource utilization?
You are unique in Duval County, because I have not worked with a system that outsources and contracts out those services. I have worked in systems that did it for our custodians, and within about a 4-year period of time, we were back to hiring our own. In Clark County, I've only worked with transportation systems that belong to us and food service systems that belong specifically to us. In Lee County, it's the same. The oversight will be different. Really, for me to speak to Duval, it's going to come down to the contractual language that's contained in those agreements. I think one of the things is you look for operational efficiencies in all procurement in all services, you have to look at what the expectations are and what the financial implications are for not meeting the service level that's required. I'm joking when I say this, but I'm getting my doctorate in transportation. Every 2 weeks, I was with my transportation department on a Wednesday morning at 7:30. Meeting was over at 8:30. But I just dug in. I learned construction, management, maintenance. I was blessed as I grew up. So what I'll share with you is I've been in the incubator for a long time. I'm not a young superintendent, but that's by design. I wanted to learn. I wanted to be a middle, high school principal. I wanted to be an associate sup. I wanted to be a chief of staff. I wanted to learn from really great leaders who gave me opportunities to grow in those areas. There are metrics with food service to make some determinations. But what I would have to learn, I'll be candid, is what it's like to have all those services contracted. And whether that's the best way for us to approach our work or not, I don't know yet. But I can assure you that if we can't get the outcomes we expect, then we're going to have to look for alternatives. Because our kids deserve first-class meals, first-class transportation, and they deserve first-class buildings.
Thank you very much. We're right on schedule here. Dr. Bernier, you have 5 minutes to wrap up. Great job. I want to thank the committee. Timing could not have been better, Dr. Bernier. So a wrap up in 5 minutes, and then I'll say a couple words, and then we'll be finished. Thank you so much.
Well, I appreciate it. And I've shuffled my papers around enough that I probably don't have really what I want to say in front of me anymore. But I practiced enough in a hotel room that I feel like I can probably pull it off. First of all, thank you again for letting me be here. To the moms in the room, belated Happy Mother's Day. You're amazing people. And I'm blessed to have the mom that I live with and the opportunity this weekend to share Mother's Day with one of my, I just have to start calling her my daughter, one of my daughters who lives here in Jacksonville. Just very, very honored and humbled by the opportunity to be here. Your questions are amazing. And Duval County Public Schools has some challenges and some opportunities ahead of it. But I do see them as opportunities. I do see them as an opportunity to work with the strengths of the organization that's already here, make some determinations of how we either augment or help support that work, and begin to devise a pathway forward so that our narrative, and I hate to use the word our, it makes like, I don't want you to think I'm assuming, but so our narrative changes. You do great work here. I just met 2 amazing principals and great student bodies. If they're indicative of what this school system has in their classrooms and in their leadership roles and in the individuals who help support our operations, you are blessed. This is an opportunity to tell our story better. This is an opportunity for leadership and not tell you what I'm going to do. What do we determine is the best pathway forward, and how do we own it together to change the narrative using grace, hope, compassion, and hard work. What you're asking for the next superintendent to do is hard work. I would say she, but there isn't a finalist, it's a she. He cannot do this alone. He's going to need the help and support of the community, the internal and external stakeholders, and everybody else you mentioned today. These are systemic issues. They're transformative. It's second-order change. But it's possible. It really is possible. And call me an optimist. I'll take that. I'll label that with my integrity and know that we can lead this school district to a better and brighter dialogue in our community about our work, our service, and we will become the better choice. Part of that economic engine is people choosing us. Nobody asked me about the birth to 5 thing. We got to start engaging when babies are born. We got to deal with every transition, 9th to 10th, 3rd to 4th, 6th to 7th. every one of those transition is an opportunity for a parent to make a choice. We have to make sure they're comfortable. We've always done a really good job coming in with kindergarten. We always did 5th to 6th. We always do a good job with 8th to 9th. Man, every transition's a chance to lose somebody. We've got to make sure together we figure out what the best strategies are to make that happen. And again, I'm thrilled to be here. And if selected, I'll be thrilled to stay and give you the same effort I've given every other place that I've worked. So thank you for the opportunity. Can I shake hands? Can I shake hands? It's too long.
You can if you're quick. Sure.
Just want to remind you guys about the sunshine law during lunch one more time. Food, family, fun. Food, family, fun.
Sports teams.
Right? It's fun.
I do okay, or was I too long? I thought it went well, but I'll take it apart tonight. You know what I mean? I have to remember, I have to try to remember what I told them and what I didn't tell the board.
Well, that's I understand it's going to be a problem.